Well, good morning everyone. This is the video walk that I said I was going to do concerning the route that Leah Croucher would have taken on the fateful 15th of February 2019. I'm currently at Teletubby Hill, and this is where we're going to be starting, because I don't think starting by her front door is actually a good idea, to be fair, and I'm sure you understand why. So to run you through the events of the morning, she left home at 8 o'clock in the morning from her home in Emerson Valley, which is just over in that direction. And literally about 8:16 that morning, she walked past a house with a CCTV on it, and that is in Buzzcock Lane, which, if you look just over there where those people are, that is Buzzcock Lane. And she got here at about 8:20, and she literally walked along that pathway there, which, if we carry on walking, will lead to over there where that white car is. And just if anyone's interested of why this place is called Teletubby Hill, well, I think it's plainly obvious really, but if we carry on walking. Now remember, she was seen here at 8:20. The witness herself is reliable. No reason to disbelieve anything she said. I think she's actually quite straight, to be fair. So anything she said here, I think, can be totally taken as fact. Sorry about the wobbly picture. But here we are here. Now the problem is, she could have taken two routes here. One, she could have crossed the road where there's a pathway, or she could have just walked along here. Now when I get down to the end of this road, my feeling is she was on the right side, and I'll explain why as we go along. Trying not to film too many people, obviously. I think normally on a morning she would have walked on that side, and again I'll explain when we get down further to the end. As you can see, if you have a look around, you see all these houses here. I'll just stop for a moment. And Thurston Lake actually is a very nice area. And as you can see, most of the houses are very well maintained, tidy. Even the street itself is actually quite tidy and well maintained. As you can see, very little litter. Nothing really on the streets itself, apart from a normal suburban street. And I will point out that, of course, this is Lockspear Drive we've walked down now, and we are going to be passing the house that unfortunately she was found in 2 weeks ago. Because of course it was 2 weeks ago today that the police received the tip-off to look at the house at number 2, and by, I think it was around 6:30 that night, they were searching the property in question. And as you can see, it's a little bit bendy and windy, but it doesn't take long really to walk to the house in question. It's literally just up here around the bend nearly, and it's literally past that house where I think this really does start to ask a number of questions. As you can also see, the houses around here are not exactly shabby, so it really is a nice area, and quite a peaceful walk as well, I must say. So we're going to go around this bend, and I'm not actually walking in a speed to reflect the time on that day. I am walking a little bit faster. As you could probably hear, I'm starting to get a bit out of breath at the speed I'm walking. Now when we reach this house, I'm not going to spend too long on it, because I think the police are still guarding it, and I think there's still forensic work going on. So if you don't mind, we'll go past it, but we won't spend too much time there. And it's literally, actually I don't know if you can see in the background, you can actually see police tape. So that's how close the house is from where Teletubby Hill is. It's not far at all. But we keep walking. And the strange thing about Milton Keynes, if you look at it on a map, everything looks far away. But actually, things are quite close together, considering how spread out Milton Keynes actually is. So, excuse me. But here is literally the beginning of Thurston Lake, and as you can see, that's the house there, still guarded, still taped off. As I say, we won't spend too much time, for the want of a better word, gawping. We'll just go by, and that's it there on the right. That is number 2. Now, we're going to come to the end of this road now, but very quickly, I think you can see when I turn the camera around in a minute, the sheer feeling of this when you see all those flowers. And many have left flowers here, including myself. I came down here about a week ago to do that. Now this is where we could slightly change a bit. As you can see at the top of the road there is where, according to Thames Valley Police and many national newspapers, she went up in that direction normally, which would lead her to a road called Faraday Road, and that road will go all the way over to that side and to an underpass leading her to No Hill. But on this occasion we're going to go down Bilbrook Lane, and that's where we'll lead to Thurston Lake, and to where an important part of this is actually played out. Now, I did say that she may have crossed the road, or she may have stayed on this side. Now, the difference here is, if she was to do her usual walk, I would have noticed she would have gone on the other side of the road to walk down here, because that's where there is a pathway leading to an underpass to take her towards Faraday Road. But as you can see here, the path stops. However, we go back down Bilbrook Lane, and I reckon she took this road here because she deviated from her usual route. And again, I'll explain why when we get down to the end here. Now, it's so important to realise one thing. I was kind of speed walking down here, and when she was at Teletubby Lane was at 8:20. If she was taking normal speed, she probably wouldn't have reached that house till around 8:25. And if that's the case, what we're going to show you up here is important, because it doesn't make sense about timing, or shall we say current theories on the day. As you can see down this road, Bilbrook, I won't spend too much time poking in people's houses. There's some very nice houses down here. It's a very well-to-do area. I would actually describe it as something more like a upper working class, middle class area. Houses on average are about £350,000 a year, £350,000, give or take. But there are one or two houses around here that could get you close to £1 million. Now, if I stop here, welcome to Thurston Lake. Quite tranquil, has its own beauty, if you will. And even the houses across there, I can tell you now, they're not going to cost you a penny short of a few £100,000. And there's this pathway here leading up to the northwestern part of the lake. And as I say, that is the important part here. It plays a bit of a role, and for me it kind of stops a particular theory in this case since the last 2 weeks, because somebody's going to have to explain what I will explain at the top here. It's a reasonable walk. Again, I'm kind of walking a bit fast, but to be fair, I am 6'3" and got a long stride. Leah was of course a little over 5 foot, so her stride wouldn't have been as long as mine. Now, if I just stop here for a second, as you can see, Bilbrook Lane starts to carve off to the left and is then hidden from view as we carry along here. There you go, Thurston Lake. Been here many times, fed the ducks, the swans, and generally walked around it in more, shall we say, tranquil times. Yes, I did stop talking there. I didn't want to look like an idiot walking around with a phone. And as you can see, it's, like I said, very tranquil. Quite a beautiful walk. And it's a gorgeous morning here on a Monday morning. Lots of ducks swimming around trying to find food. And this is probably what it was like on the 15th of February of 2019, but it was a very chilly morning. There was no rain, there was no excess weather, if you like. It would probably be a bit like this, reasonably sunny, but very chilly. And just around the corner here, we've got a wooden bridge. Just up there, and what we'll do is, once we're off the bridge, we're literally going to follow it all the way around, and then we're going to stop and I'll explain a few things from there. Because, as I say, the part that we're coming up to is quite an important part of the Leah Croucher story, and one that still has never been explained. Here we go, across the wooden bridge. Trying not to film people as I go, by the way. And it is the main part of the lake. And we're just going to turn this corner and then I'll basically stop. maybe I should actually slow down a bit. I'm starting to get a bit out of breath, but I'm not really playing to actual time here in terms of relevance to the day. And voila, lots of birds, lots of people, and oh look, a car park. Now, why is this important here? Because at 8:34 that morning, her phone got switched off, and we are currently standing in the area in which that phone got switched off. And if I move over slightly, just over there in the far corner is the pub and the Premier Inn Hotel. Now, this has a real problem for me here, because she got here at about 8:34, and officially that was the last we ever effectively heard of her. However, there was a number of witnesses here that morning throughout different times, and the description they give could well be Leah Croucher, but we just don't know. I'm not going to claim that as fact. You know, it could easily have been a mystery woman, but again, in nearly 4 years of this case, no one's ever come forward to say this was her. And over by the hotel, just beyond that tree there, was the first sighting at 9:30. And depending on which report you read, there was a woman matching Leah's description who seemed to be angry and upset on the phone, which, if that was her, it's amazing considering the phone went off here. And somewhere over there, we're not really too sure of the actual pinpoint position, but around 10:30 that morning, the same couple that saw them at the hotel also mentioned that they saw the same woman texting by the lake. And over there, I daren't blow this up, I'm not technically savvy, knowing my luck I'll turn the video off, but just literally over there, centre of your picture, was where the girl was photographed, the figure in black, and the photograph was taken over that way somewhere, and that was at 10:51. However, over in that direction is the the Thurston Sports Centre, and there was a possible sighting of a girl matching Leah's description between 11 and 11:15. Now, officially her phone went off at 8:34, and yet for another 2 hours and 41 minutes we have somebody matching Leah's description hanging around this area. Obviously we don't know how true that is, but relating to the house, and this is important, there's been a lot of theories concerning what happened at that house. One of them is that she was abducted from the house as she walked past. Now, that would have been on average at about 8:25. Now, if that is the case, someone is going to have to seriously explain to me how her phone managed to jump out of her rucksack, sprout legs, and then walk another 9 minutes to this area before deciding to turn itself off. Because that makes no sense whatsoever. The 8:34 phone being turned off is official, it's fact, the police have confirmed it. Now, if I just carry on walking, there's another bit here that we need to look at. Lots of hungry birds. Lots of swans and ducks. They all just mingle with everybody really, as you can see. All looking for their piece of bread and food. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky, because No Hill is over in that direction, and as I said, down by the house she would have gone straight and onto Faraday Road. However, she ended up here. We know that because of her phone. So now there's only a couple of ways she could have gone, if she had continued to work, that is. I'm going to take the most simplest route. We're going to go down by the hotel and the pub down there. But if you look up that road, that's where a sighting was made of a black coupe car, just literally up the top of the road there. I have difficulty with this, mainly on the grounds that out of all the people that were here that morning, remember this was a year before COVID started, traffic would have been normal, and yet we would have had a load of cars along the main road at the top there. It's the van coming past. God knows how many cars, but there would have been quite a few because no one would have been working from home at that point. The amount of cars with people in them, possibly passengers, I mean even dash cams, and yet all we have is one solitary 60-year-old lady who herself admits she was a few cars back in the line, but she managed to see everything. And yet behind that black coupe car was a white car, and the person driving that white car has never ever come forward. So I just I'm finding that a bit difficult to possibly believe, to be fair. However, we go down here, there's an underpass, and it will take us straight into No Hill, where of course Leah Croucher worked. Now, that morning she clearly deviated from her usual route, otherwise what's she doing here? And just to prove I'm in Thurston Lake, by the way, there you go. So we'll walk up here, and as you can see the sign in the background there for Premier Inn, and there's also a pub there which actually works in conjunction with Premier Inn to serve breakfasts and dinners for their hotel guests. Well, we're going to walk slightly past there. Sorry, Gav. Embarrassing. I'm going to walk slightly past there. But again, this is another area which I'm not understanding in terms of witnesses. I mean, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, for God's sake, and look how many people are around. And in all fairness, at 8:30 in the morning in Thurston Lake, you would have had people out and about going to work, mothers taking kids out, cyclists, joggers, dog walkers, you name it. And it was around here apparently that the first possible sight of Leah Croucher on the phone was located. Let's just walk over here. And the strange thing about Milton Keynes, it's got some really oddities, but lovely oddities, like a boat nowhere near a river. So a little strange. And of course, that's the Thurston Lake pub. So what we're going to do, we're going to go around here. Got to be careful, I don't slip on the mud and fall flat on my backside. And over there is the pathway to an underpass, from which we're now going to go, as it's the reasonable route straight to No Hill from here. The problem is we just don't really know what happened after 8:34, so most of it is conservative guesses, if you like, or even reasonable theory. Now, I've currently been doing this for 24 minutes now, so that should show you that I'm not doing it on basic real time, because I would have thought 24 minutes just to reach this stage, Leah Croucher would have been walking through her office front door by now. Now, this pathway here does lead to No Hill, but strangely it also leads to the MK Bowl. And I tell you, when there's no events going on in the MK Bowl, it can be quite quiet, quite secluded, and a little spine tingling at times. So underneath the underpass, and the strange thing about most of these underpasses, very few of them have CCTV. Very, very few. This one, of course, does not. And when we get up to the top here, we're going to turn left, and we'll go and see where she would have ended up that morning if, unfortunately, whatever happened to her didn't happen. And as you can see, this is quite secluded. Lots of woodland. You may hear the cars in the background, but believe it or not, you can't see them. So you could literally get mugged down here and nobody would ever know. Or worse. So we're coming up here now, and this is the back end of the bowl, which is just over there, over in that direction there. In fact, just down there on your left. And here we have another underpass. Now this is important. Again, when I get to her old workplace, I'll explain why. And as you can see from the sign up there, as we're coming closer and closer, we are entering No Hill. Now, actually, one thing I should show you, just to show you how close we are. If you see over in the background there, you'll see, I think it's a mobile phone antenna, I'm not too sure, but that may be the one her phone bounced from. And literally her building is just over there. Now if she went through Faraday Walk, there's another underpass over there which leads you to Faraday Drive, sorry, not Faraday Walk. And this is where she would have come out of on her usual route and then made her way up here. And again, as you can see, No Hill, very quiet place. Lots of businesses around here, lots of offices, but very quiet. If I just literally spin around, you can see, apart from over there where you see the cars now coming into view, I am literally by myself. And we're just going to make our way to the top of this pathway and we'll turn right. In fact, I'll just walk past her opening in the trees and you will see no office block through the openings. That's going to show you how close we are. And at the top there you can see one woman and her dogs. So I'll turn the camera around so I don't film her. If you hear a Screech, one of the dogs has bit me. No, I've survived. Now there is another route she could have taken, and it could have ended up on this pathway, because again, underpass, and up that path there you'll come directly into Faraday Drive. So the chances are her actual route to work would have been through this underpass and along this pathway. And we haven't got far to go now. It's just literally at the top of this pathway where we will find the old DFC building. It's literally just up here on the right. The amount of times I've done this walk, the amount of times I've been here and Thurston Lake, I probably know every bush, blade of glass and leaf around here by now. Just turn the camera away so I don't get the jogger. To be fair to that jogger, he looks absolutely knackered. And sadly, I can just show you this. There's still posters still around. And there was a load on the trees around here, as you can see. Possibly if I go nearer you can still see some on the trees. As you can see there, there's at least 3 or 4 down here that I've counted. I wouldn't put that down as vandalism. I think it's just the age of the poster on that one. And literally here we are. Welcome to DFC, or what was DFC. I believe they sold up some months ago, this building, and apparently relocated to Newcastle, if my information is correct. And what we'll do is we'll go in front of it, literally turn in this corner, and as you can see, it's still got the old sign up there, but there's a lot of building work going on. Apparently this has been turned into a clinic.